All right, we are live. So if you're here, we're going to be going over the easiest way to avoid spending 5 hours a week creating content for your online music studio. I would love to see who is on this call with me right now and who is watching the replay. So if you're here live, go ahead in the comment section right now, comment live so I know that you are here with me joining the party. And also comment replay if you're watching from the replay. Would love to see who's watching from where. If you're still watching the replay, I love you just as much as the people here live. So if you're here and you don't know what's going on, you're like, who is Ben? Welcome to the Six Figures Music Studio Facebook group. So in here, we're here to help music teachers be able to create six-figure studios. But not just that, if you are a teacher and you're feeling, a little frustrated because you're not getting the right types of students, or you're feeling burnt out because you're teaching so many students, or you're feeling kind of anxious because you want to be able to perform and teach, but need that balance of doing both, like you're definitely in the right place. So our goal here is to be able to help music teachers not only get to the income goals that they want, but also be able to balance their teaching time with their personal life, right? Whether you are a performer, whether you've got a family, I want you to be able to make sure that you can still make your like a full-time income with your passion, but not have to give it up just because you need to feed your family. So if you're here, again, you're definitely in the right place. Today, we're doing a content training, but also a content review at the end. So I've already got a couple of posts, a couple of people requested lined up here for review. So if you want your post review too, if you're checking this out and you'd be like, Ben, I didn't even know about this. Like I want my post reviewed. Go ahead and comment review down below, and I'll make sure to include you on the next one for sure. So again, we're going to go ahead and get started. Let me know if you are pumped in the chat, and we're going to go ahead and dive right in. So the first thing I want to do here is share this document with you all. I'm going to share it right here. Let me know if you want this document too as we go through it. This is something that I only send to my clients, my private clients. So if you do want it, go ahead and let me know. I can be able to send it personally over to you as well. But it's called the transformational content formula. And I like to use this to be able to teach content because it makes it really, really simple for a lot of teachers. Because the biggest thing I get a lot, the biggest question I get is like, what should I post? Right? Where should I post? How often should I post? Hey, I keep posting, but why does no one inquire? And I even set up a poll inside of our group, really asking people what stage of the content creation or their relationship with content creation is. There are a lot of people saying that, hey, I want to be able to create content, but it's taking me a long time. And the biggest reason for that is that there's just so many things that you can post about, right? Let me know in the comments who's ever been through that struggle of like I want to create content, but like, what do I even make? Like I could create content around piano playing. I could create content around the mindset around it. Maybe I give like an exercise worksheet. Like, what do I do? And the problem here is that right now in our almost like society, we're in like an information overload where there's just so much information out there that we don't know what is the right path to go down. And that's what I want to help you here. I don't want to give you more things to do, but I want to make it clear on what is the only type of content you need to do to not only create and grow your audience, but also turn your audience into buyers. Because for me, I'll share with you a little story here. And a lot of the teachers that I talk to on my calls, the biggest or the most popular thing that they say, like the comment that I hear so often is something that I ask. So like is usually an answer after a question that I ask. And I usually ask the question of like, hey, like, why'd you book in the call? What was it about the content that got you to want to talk? And I get a lot of teachers saying this exact thing where it's like, hey, like they'll tell me what caught their eye, but most of them are like, I don't really remember like exactly what you said, but like I've been seeing you for many months now, many years, and I thought it was the right time to talk, right? And you want to think about your audience the same way, where your audience is not going to necessarily like be super nitpicky on exactly what you say. There might not even be a magic word where you put that in your content and it creates buyers, But what does create buyers are the habits that you instill with content creation. And that's the first thing that you need to build. And for me, like being able to be consistent, like being able to create content and send emails to my email list every single day has shown people that I am consistent and that I am like 100% in. So if you can do the same thing as well with your content creation, you don't have to like, I'm going to tell you right now, you don't have to be posting every single day like me, but if you post consistently, if you show up to in front of your audience consistently, they will notice. And that is the thing that creates buyers. So we're going to go ahead and dive right in. We're going to talk about the goal first. What is the goal of creating content? Like, why are we even doing it in the first place? And a lot of you might be growing from word of mouth, but if you want to expand a lot faster, you're going to have to reach people that don't even know you first. So the goal of creating content for your audience is this. You need to create enough trust, connection, and curiosity with your audience so that they engage with in a conversation with you through Facebook Messenger. So obviously, if you're doing content on Facebook, right, it's going to be Facebook Messenger. If you're doing content on Instagram, it's Instagram DMs. That's not the point. The point is that there's really only one purpose to the content. It's not to sell, but it's to create trust, connection, curiosity, to just get them to want to talk to you in a more private format, right? Whether that's booking a trial lesson with you, whether it's like having a conversation in the DMs, like your content is just helping people get to the next step. And I feel like that's what a lot of people get confused on. A lot of teachers do, that they try to create content, try to just like create content to get people to buy now. But like life doesn't work that way, right? We got to build the trust in order for them to trust you enough to see that you're the leader to help them reach their goals. So that's what your content is here to do. So when you are able to focus on just this goal, it makes content creation a whole lot more simple. It's just to get people curious enough to want to talk to you. And then from there, the sales process keeps going on and on. But let me know if that makes sense. Go ahead and type goal down in the comments if that makes sense, because we're going to go ahead and move on. So we're also going to talk about like, I also want to talk about like the 4 types of content. And we'll talk about the rules of posting transformational content first. But before we get into like what is the purpose of your content and all of that, I do want to throw in like a little bonus here that's going to help out with that. But here's the transformational content formula. Here's how we're going to make it really easy for you to be able to create content. We need to first figure out what is the purpose of your content, what is the topic, and then how are you going to create it as well. So real quick, 4 rules of posting transformational content. 1, less is more. Like I believe that there should be a purpose to creating your content. You shouldn't just like put content out there just to put content out there. Rather focus on the quality over the quantity, but don't focus on the quality so much that you just have to be a perfectionist. Right? You want to be able to take that imperfect action, but know that your content needs to have a purpose out there so that you're not just being lazy with it. And I talked about this before. Consistency is key. In the beginning stages, people might not engage, but they notice. They notice you showing up consistently on their newsfeed. And again, most of the teachers that I'm working with right now, they're not really people that scroll on Facebook for hours and hours on end, right? They're people that saw my posts consistently and then wanted to talk to me privately as well. So if you think of it that way, the consistency is going to be very key. So I want you to, if you're watching this right now, go ahead and type consistency down below, because I think out of all these rules, this one is the most important. You also want to post with a purpose, right? Each post should move the prospect, move your audience a little closer to the sale. And then lastly, your tonality and your voice is what really impact the readers, right? You want to be polarizing. You want to have a balance of polarizing and authoritative too, while also being empathetic and understanding. So again, it doesn't really matter about like what you say necessarily, but how you say it is what's really, really important. So here's some instructions here just to help you out. You may find yourself spending hours trying to perfect your content. Don't get stuck in this, right? Just put it again, have that balance. Putting something out is better than nothing, especially in the beginning. We can focus, like you can be more strict on yourself around the quality as you start to have more quantity anyway. Next, choose, if you're to answer the question of like, where do we even post, right? Choose one place where the biggest part of your audience is. Just start there, right? Whether that's your email list, whether that's another Facebook group. Maybe you've had success posting in a community Facebook group and a lot of your ideal students are in there, right? In our strategy here, the best place to do it is in your own Facebook group, right? In your own community where you have a lot of control. But as long as you post there where your audience is, that's the best place to start. And then lastly, use so I give my clients templates, swipe files, examples to draw inspiration from. That's something that like I don't really have here yet, but I could create that. So if you want like a swipe file, if you want a resource like that you can be able to start off with creating content, like a content creation starter kit or something like that, let me know if that'd be a good idea. I can be able to create something like that and be able to post that here in the group. But before we get into the purpose of content creation, I do want to share with you the 3 stages of a content creator. And this is the fastest way to be able to become really, really good at creating content. So I'm going to pull ahead a whiteboard here because I actually want to type this. It's not in the document here, but we'll call it like the 3 stages of content creation or a content creator. Right. And so the first stage, I'll outline it right here. So the 3 stages here, I like to call it imitate, emulate, and innovate. And I didn't make this up. I got this from one of my coaches. But this really helped me think about how should I approach content creation, right? No matter what stage you're at, this can apply for you, no matter how long you've been doing content creation for. But the cool thing about this concept here is that you can not only apply it to content creation, but any skill, right? You use this for your teaching, right? You feel free to teach this to your student because this is a way to approach even like how to learn music as well. Where the first thing is imitate, where it's literally just like, I believe in like the best way to get started with something is just by imitating. It's by like, it's almost like when you're learning music. Like especially for teachers who teach beginners, before they can even like read music, they got to learn by rote. So it's almost like the same thing here. Like I want you to be able to learn by rote. For a lot of my clients, like they have I have something called plug and play templates to be able to help them out. They're able to just to imitate that content, be able just to take what's proven already and use that. Because what we're really doing here again is we're just building habits, right? So the biggest problem is that a lot of teachers, they just jump into stage 3 right here, innovate. And what that is kind of doing is jumping in the middle of the ocean and expecting yourself to swim to shore. Or like, you can't do that, right? What's going to end up happening is you're going to drown. You're not going to be able to create any content at all. So that's the biggest problem. Teachers jump way too often to like innovating. It's almost like telling a beginner, hey, go out there, improvise, go make up some music. You know, you already know what's going to happen if you tell your students to do that, if you haven't properly trained them. So for you, if you're watching this, right, you might, if you haven't created content before, you're going to be the imitate stage. So what you want to do now is be able to take inspiration, find inspiration from the content creators that you like, and be able to imitate their content. So here's a little like disclaimer here is that like I'm not condoning copying. Don't plagiarize. Don't just straight up copy people, right? The reason why like my clients are able to be able to go through that stage is because like I give them permission to. So if you want, again, like I think what would really help here is doing some sort of like creating some sort of content starter kit or something like that, just to help you be able to get through that stage of imitating and building that habit of creating content. So if you want that, let me know. I'm not gonna create it if nobody wants it. But that's the first stage, imitate. So a lot of my teachers, what they do is they take what's already proven, with permission, of course, and they're able to start the habit of creating content. So if you don't have that just yet, what you can do is look up some free templates online. There's a lot of things on the internet, but that's what you want to start building the habit of. Imitate, make it easy to create content so that you can build the habits. Because the next stage here is being able to emulate. So actually, before we do that, if you got any questions on imitating or these 3 stages of content, type them down below. But if it does make sense, go ahead and type imitate down below, just so I make sure I've explained it the right way. The next thing here is emulate. So now what we're really doing, the only difference between these stages is how much freedom you have with your creativity. So emulate now, this is a good one this is like probably the stage that a lot of you might be at. Or emulate is just like for my teachers, I'll give you an example. When they're in the emulate stage, they take a look at my content now, and they're able to just emulate it and change some of the wording to fit their niche. That's really it. You want to emulate and see what's working with what's working with other people's content, like why does it work? Understanding why it works and how can I incorporate that with my niche as well. So a lot of the content here in my group, like feel free to draw that as inspiration. Obviously, like again, don't copy because we don't want to like, you know, we don't condone that here. But we do want to draw inspiration and use other people's content to understand why does it work, right? So being able to emulate that. But once you start building these habits and you start having more freedom and creativity now, then we can start to innovate. So the innovate part is really just creating your own type of content. That's what I'm doing here. I still like emulate other people's content, but like I'm able to have a lot more freedom with it because I've been doing this so long. So if you're looking for the shortcut, if you're looking just for the easiest way to be able to create content, I will tell you now that like the easiest way to become really good at content creation, it's not under, it's not over, it's not around, but it's through. And you got to go through the problem. And just like learning music, you got to put in the work and you got to put in the consistency of creating that content, because the more you do that, easier it'll get, right? And you want to build habits, not just to like build a studio, but do it for yourself, right? Create content for yourself, knowing that, hey, I'm gonna get better at this every single post that I put out there. So knowing that, those are the three stages of content creation, because I want you all to know like how we approach that first and foremost before I share the purpose. So let's go back here. Now let's think about what is the purpose of our content. That's the next stage. And I'll give you the 4 pieces of content that I tell my teachers to create. But also, like, this is important because these are the only types of content that are really effective. Like, based on what I posted, based on what my coaches have told me, like all of my experience has shown me, like, if you were only to post a certain type of content, it would be these ones. Why? Because these types of content creates buyers. So what are they? So one, it's like I call this one the trust post. We also have student success post. We also have like live streams and training videos, like the thing that you're watching right now, right? And then the action post here. And I'm gonna briefly gonna go through it all. Again, if you want the document, you can feel free to comment cheat sheet down below. I can be able to send it over to you so that you can take a look through it. But what's important here is understanding the goals of each one here. The goal of the trust post and these belief shifting posts is to shift our prospects' belief and position you as an authority. I had a call with my teachers like right before this, and someone's on the call. Someone said something on the call that really struck with me. I wanted to share here. Is that what we're really doing? Like the content that creates buyers is content that sells your audience on the reasons why they need to solve that problem. That's it. You're not selling you're not just selling um, you're not just selling the idea that you are the person to help them, but before they even go out and look for a teacher, they need to be willing to solve that problem for themselves in the first place, right? So what you're really doing in here, this belief shifting post, is teaching people why is it so important to solve their problem now, right? And if you can just answer that question every time you create a trust post, then um, then you're gonna be able to shift your prospects' belief and shift your audience belief and teach them that, hey, you got to be able to take action now. So that's what I do with a lot of my content. Also in this cheat sheet here, you get like examples in here as well. So you could definitely take a look at some examples again, but make sure you request the doc in order to get that. The next thing is student success. And I feel like this is actually the most important one. I feel like if we're given, like there's obviously not a ranking for these things, but if we're to give a number one, if you're only to do one type of, like one of these 4, I would choose student success. It's the social proof. And the goal of this, again, is to brand yourself as a figure of high authority using social proof. And it allows you to show, not just tell people how your students feel about you. So this one probably moves the needle the most. The question here that a lot of the question of trust that a lot of your audience will have is one, like, can so and so be able to help? Like, can so and so be able to help people get to their goals, right? Is this person worth listening to? Right? Usually the answer to that is like, yeah, right? Because if you got like students, you're showing off the students, like it doesn't take that much for people to see that, hey, you're a figure of high authority. But The harder question to answer and the trust that we need to build is more for your audience and themselves. Because not only do they have to trust you and your ability to help other people, but the question that they're really asking themselves is, hey, can John be able to help me? Like if you're maybe you're asking the question, hey, I know Ben can be able to help other teachers, but can Ben be able to help me in my specific situation with my problems? So that's why putting out more social proof is going to be so powerful, because then you hit people at different parts of their lives, different positions in their life. And maybe you have a student that specifically resonates with another person in your audience. So the more likely they're going to relate to that social proof and be like, oh, like Ben was able to help that so and so in that position. Like that's where I am now. So he could probably help me. That's what you want to do with your audience. So that's why social proof is so important. You know, I think a lot of teachers they post testimonials already, but here's an example of a student success post that you can take a look at in the doc as well. So next thing here is like the live stream training videos, because we also want to we not only want to balance between like belief shifting posts, but also we want to show that we are the authority, that we know what we're talking about, right? So we also want to make sure that there's actionable content that people can be able to take away, just like this right here. So it's almost like I would say the goal of the live stream is to teach your audience a topic that they would get a lot of value from. But I'd say like a better way to even think about that is that we want to preview what your coaching looks like, preview what your teaching looks like, right? Maybe you film a lesson video with a student and you're able to release that to your audience. Like that's a great way to preview your coaching. But again, we're building trust because they get to see how you coach. They're going to see what you're like in your lessons before they even get to buy with you. So that's why it's so powerful. That's why you need the live streams and training videos. But the last one here is action posts, right? Because there's one thing of like, we could just wait for people to come reach us, but we can't just be reactive with our marketing. We need to be proactive. So I like to use something called permission-based marketing, where the goal is to ask permission to carry a conversation over Messenger. So if you see on a lot of my action posts, I'll never ask you to buy my things, right? And then most of the time, I don't even want to, right? The reason for that is because I don't know if I can help, but I do want to figure that out. So you should approach your action posts the same way. So it's pretty much action posts are just posts with a call to action. And a lot of those posts, like that's why I see a lot of teachers posting, but they're not doing it the right way. So the reason why is because most of them are selling in their posts, where the purpose of it just needs to move the prospect to a more intimate conversation, right? Whether that's to a call or whether that's to a DM conversation. So there's a couple of different action posts that I have here. You can definitely take a look at that. It's not going to be too important because there's a lot of examples here inside the group already. But if you do want to take a look at that, again, reminder, comment cheat sheet down below. Be happy to send this over to you. From there, right, what is the topic of your content here? So here are different prompts to be able to help out with that. And like, hey, you can think about, hey, what are the 3 biggest problems your students are facing that's stopping them from reaching their goals? That could be the topic, right? What are some false beliefs that your students are believing? A lot of these topics are based around like beliefs and shifting those beliefs, because again, that's what creates the buyers. So how do you create content? Here is your action item. Along with the cheat sheet, you're going to be able to have a copy of your content writing, something called a content writing planner. It's literally just a document to help organize your content. So it's something that's super helpful if you don't have one already, but if you don't have to use a Google Doc if you want to. You can use a Trello board or anything like that. But you want to follow these instructions and be able to just start creating content consistently. Last thing I have to say with this, make it easy, right? That's what the 3 stages of content creation help you do. It makes it easy to create the habits that you need in order to create content consistently, right? And once you get that habit down, it becomes so much easier. For me, I only post around like 3 times per week inside of this group, but I email my list every single day. And it's so easy because I have a whole content library that I can choose and pick from. So think about that way. You're almost like investing in your content creation library. The more content you create, the more you have something to work with in the future as well. So that's the content training. If you got any questions on exactly what we covered, go ahead and drop them down below. But we're going to spend a few minutes actually doing some more actionable things like doing the content review. So I have a couple of teachers that have requested a review here. So really, really appreciate them. Shout out to these people for being so, being so open and vulnerable to getting this feedback. So this first one, we're gonna take a look at Mark's post under his Facebook group. Um, so we're gonna take a look at that, and I'm gonna go ahead. We're gonna take a look at that and review that. So here is Mark's post. So it seems like this is like a mixture between like an action post and a student success post. We've got like a call to action at the end with the, hey, please get in touch with your preparation. But let's go ahead and read through the post to make sure that we got everything. One tip in terms of copywriting tip for you is that feel free to read your post out loud, because that's going to help determine, is your post easy to read. So even if it's like easy to read on paper, people are like people have their inner voice. So they're going to be they're almost going to be imagining it out loud. So when you read your post out loud, you can see, oh, this part of my post was like really, really hard to read. That's probably where people would like get really confused and just scroll down. So you want to make sure your posts are really easy to read, especially out loud. So we're going to go ahead and go through this. Hey, do you have an audition coming up? One thing that I wish I did in the lead up to many of my past auditions was to learn a lot more on, or to lean, sorry, that's my bad, to lean a lot more on my teachers and mentors for support, guidance, and accountability. I held myself back many times from asking for help because I tried to do it all by myself, tooling away in the practice room alone with the hope of doing a successful audition. It was only when I started to lean on others for support and guidance that I became more successful at auditioning, which eventually led me winning my current position. Now I have the privilege of being a leader or a teacher, coach, and mentor to many aspiring auditionees. I value being the guiding and supporting person in what is often an extremely stressful and challenging circumstance. Helping my clients stay clear-headed, focus on their own musical intent and interpretation, and bring out the strengths of each performer is an immensely rewarding process to be a part of. So if you got an audition coming up, please get in touch so I can help you with your preparation. So yeah, overall, great student success post. Here are some things that you can be able to implement to make it even better the next time. First thing I want to stress here is the headline. The headline here is the most important part of your post. Why? It's because you can have an amazing post. You can have an amazing video here, right? Like this training video could be amazing, but if nobody's watching this, there's really no point in creating it, right? Nobody's going to be able to consume it. So the headline is going to be like entry point. You got to make it really irresistible. I do like how the headline catches people where they are, because that's also an important part. We want to catch people where they're at. We want to meet them where they're currently at with their problems. So you have an audition coming up, right? If someone has an audition coming up, they're going to want to read this. But you can definitely make it more irresistible by making it even more specific as well. Like that's the thing that will help catch more eyes. And you can apply this to any type of headline, is the specificity of it. The more specific that you can make and call out the exact avatar that you want, the better. And also kind of like the structure and creating curiosity and all of that too. So for you, Mark, and for everyone watching here, here's a great tool to be able to use if you're trying to create headlines and you have no idea where to start. Look up amazing headline generator. Look up this, and there is one by, I would say, look up the ClickFunnels one. So amazing headline generator, ClickFunnels here. This one right here, just look that up. This is a great tool to create awesome headlines really, really quickly. It will give you a lot of examples there. Again, use that. That's going to help you just get a really good head start on creating great headlines that are eye-catching. From there, I do like how you have started off with like a story about yourself, right? Kind of like relating to your audience. The thing about, actually, I feel like the theme of this feedback here is specificity, specificity, specificity. So think about how you can be even more specific, because specificity is going to contribute to your readers believing in this, right? So right now, like reading this, I'm not doubting you by any means, but for every specific reader, they're gonna have their little doubts, right? But what you want to do is fight those by being even more specific. So what you can say is right here, winning at my current position. Like what I'm wondering is like, what is your current position, right? Feel free to flex that a little bit, but also what's more important is like, you being the guide and showing that you've been able to help other people be able to do that as well. So just like Amy right here, feel free to insert like Amy's story in here. Um, like what was her before? What was her after? How did she feel before? How did she feel after? Those emotional parts of it is going to really like carry the reader and want them or convince them to take action. And that's what we want to do there is we want to just get people to want to chat with you, which you do exactly just that. Um, right here, I would say we want to be more specific with yeah, especially with this sentence, like what will help is giving specific examples on what your students have been able to achieve. Like even like what orchestra were they auditioning for? What position did they get? What chair did they get in this audition? Like, or like what were they able to play in the audition? I don't know. Whatever you feel like would help paint the picture even more clearly is going to be able to contribute with getting people to believe in the client testimonial a lot more as well. Um, even if it's like a screenshot of like a text message that your student sent, that would be able to help as well. So the more specific you can be with the client results, the better. And you can take a look at feel free to take a look at my group here, where a lot of the students, the client success posts that I put in here, I always want to make sure I put in examples as well. So if we take a look at this one right here, we have examples on the like what exactly were my teachers be able to achieve. So the more specific you can get, again, the better it's going to be. The last thing here is really, really simple feedback. I like the call to action, but make it really clear. So that's why like even in this video, it's like, hey, if you want the document, if you want the cheat sheet, comment cheat sheet so that there's not even a question on what to even do. If you want a review, comment review so that it's easy for the reader to be able to take that action, but it's also easy for you to be able to know if someone's going to do that, right? Because if I'm reading this and you're saying, please get in touch, I'm like how? What's the best way? Does Mark want me to DM him? Does Mark want me to email him? Do you want me to go on your website? So there's a lot of confusion there. And if I'm just thinking for 5 seconds on how to do that, I'm gonna keep scrolling by. So make it really, really easy. If you've got an audition coming up and you want to be able to make sure that you don't feel right here. If you got an audition coming up and you want to feel confident and mentally prepared, just like Amy, comment me down below and I can talk to you about more details to see if I can help. So that call to action is going to be very clear. There's going to be no question on what to do next. So really appreciate you for sending that, Mark. Hopefully it was very helpful. And again, if you've got something that you want to review, if you got something else you want to review, feel free to reach out or feel free to comment review down below and make the call to action really clear. I'll be able to reach out to you and then we can set something up for sure. But I saw that Karen's one of my teachers that I work with right now, one of my clients, but she requested a review. I didn't get to reach out to you, Karen, on what you wanted to review, but I saw you did comment review. Then I wanted to give you the opportunity to get some feedback. So I decided to just go into your group and see what I could review. And I think this one's a good one to review too. Seems like you got a lot of comments on this action post here, giving out a free songwriting structure template resource, right? I like the call to action. Comment me down below if you'd like a copy. So there's a few things that I have to say with this. I actually have a training video here called 4-step framework. Let me see if this is the right link. Yeah, there we go. This also too, 4-step framework for creating 150 leads with one post. This one will actually show you the 4 steps on what will help improve this this type of action post here. And there are a few criteria that we look for inside of an action post that's going to help it convert even better. I didn't even include this in the headline here. So if you're watching this, if anyone was watching this and want the 4-step framework, go ahead and type 4-step down below. I'll be able to sift through the comments if there's a lot of comments and be able to make sure I can send this over to you. But I'd love to send this over to everyone. It's called the 4-step framework training video. I can send that to anyone that wants it. Just comment 4-step down below. But one of the 4 criterias is that, or actually the 4 criterias is that we want it to be relevant to our audience. We want it to be we want to make sure that we include something tangible in it as well. We want to make sure that it has a unique mechanism involved with it. And then the last one is going to be that's time bound. There's time and energy bound to it. So right here, I feel like we hit 2 out of the 4. One is relevant, right? Songwriting structure template. Your group is for songwriters. So I think that's pretty relevant. Right? We just want to make sure that we're not just talking about like if your group is around like helping singers to become songwriters, that you're not just going to talk about um you're not going to talk about like, hey, this is the best, like, you're the best pianos to buy or anything like that. Something irrelevant. It's pretty easy to nail that one. The next thing that you got is the tangibleness, right? So it's like they get a template. If they comment, they get a template. They get something tangible, which you include right here. But what we want to include as well is a unique mechanism, right? You can call it like you call it like a free songwriting structure template, but how is this template going to be different than something I could just look up on the internet? I could just look up free songwriting structure template on the internet and find anything. But what's going to help you stand out is if you give it a unique mechanism and make it different, add curiosity to it. Hey, I have my free 3-step simple songwriting structure template that's been able to help my students be able to write songs in less than an hour. If you want it below, comment me if you want a copy, right? I included the 4th criteria there with time bound, right? It's like, hey, this structure can help songwriters be able to create songs in less than an hour. So something like that makes it really believable because, it's like backed up, it's proven. It takes less than an hour, but also it shows the value of it because what is really valuable is helping people save time and energy, the things that they can't get back. So if you include those 4 things, you can feel free to, you post this in December, feel free, like, you can post this again this month or next month, try it again. Hey, who hasn't gotten my free 3-step songwriting structure template that's been able to help my students be able to finish songs or be able to start songs in less than an hour? Comment me below if you want a copy. Something like that would be able to help out a lot. But other than that, we've got those 2 to review. If you want to post a review, go ahead and comment review down below. And the next time we do this, if we get a lot of demand, we can be able to do that as well. But other than that, hopefully you have enjoyed this training. And if you want the cheat sheet, go ahead and let me know. But I will see you all soon. Have a great rest of your day.